welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Rye and this is Rye's Reading Corner. Today I am so excited because I am bringing you the Folklore Book Tag. So Taylor Swift came in clutch with releasing a brand new album in the middle of all the shit that's going on, and definitely put a little bit of a positive thing going on right now, and I think we all needed it at this moment in time. So I wanted to celebrate this beautiful thing that Taylor Swift did while being quarantined, and I decided to do the Folklore Book Tag. So the original tag by the Enchanted Reader, and I will post her video of her doing the book tag down below. So I want to apologize. You can probably see the ring lights in my glasses. I ran out of contacts, so I don't have contacts, and I might have to wear my glasses so I can see. So we'll see how that goes. So the book tag uses all 16 of the songs that were on the new Folklore album. So each song has a corresponding prompt for you to use, and you obviously had to pick a book that fit that prompt. So the first song is The One, and this is a couple that you just did not like in a book that you read. So for me, I kind of had trouble picking this one, but I decided to go with Katniss and Peeta from the Hunger Games. And I feel like I may be the minority on this one, but I was Team Gale all the way. I just didn't like the relationship between Katniss and Peeta. I think the one with Gale was such a cute relationship. It was so natural, and I think with the Peeta, it just was so forced, and I just didn't care for it. So for me, I definitely would pick those two for a couple that I do not like. All right, the next one is Cardigan, and I had to pick a book that I liked the book but didn't care for the ending. The ending was disappointing. So for me, this was such an easy pick, and I picked Truly Devious. So Truly Devious is a mystery book, and it takes place at a private school in Vermont that's very famous for a murder that happened here, and students get to go for free if they have some really cool talent. So our main character, she is into solving mysteries, and she has a really good knack for it. So she goes there in hopes of solving the mystery, because it never was really solved in how these two people died. Or three, actually. It was three, actually. So the book is good. It's suspenseful. There's some flashbacks to like when it actually happened, which was my favorite part of it. But the ending is probably one of the worst endings I have ever read in my entire life. It was so anticlimactic. It was so bad, to the point where I haven't even picked up the second book yet because I don't even know if I want to continue in this series. It just was not what I was expecting. I have heard that that was a common opinion upon many people. So if you've read this book and you hated the ending as much as I did, let me know. All right, so the next prompt for this tag is The Last Great American Dynasty, and it is a villain you can't help but love. So I had trouble with this one because the villain I wanted to put for here had did some terrible things, which I don't love. But once you find out more about him, you know that a lot of the stuff that he has done has been not something that he could help in a way, because he was drained of pretty much of having any emotions towards people. And that is Maxon from the Red Queen series. So before you guys say anything, I know he is not a great person. However, what his mother did to him is what shaped him the way he is. He can't love people. He can't love anyone. So, and I feel like he could have been a great person if his mother wasn't involved in the way that she made him. But my heart broke for him in ways because you could see a glimpse of him wanting to just have emotions like anybody else and to feel like other people like Cal and Mare. But he just can't because his mother took that away from him. And I feel really bad for him in ways, but it doesn't excuse him from doing the terrible, terrible things that he did to many people. But my heart did break for him. And spoiler alert, if you have not read The Red Queen, it's one of my favorite fantasy books. At the ending of The Red Queen, when we find out who he really is, literally broke my heart into a million pieces because I had fallen in love with him throughout this first book. So that was really hard for me to get over. All right, so the next song that we are going on to as I grab my cheat sheet is Exile, which is one of my favorite songs on the album, by the way. And this is, falling over. It's one of your favorite dark-hitting contemporary novels. So for me, this was a novel that I just read recently, and that novel is Monday's Not Coming. So if you're not familiar with this story, it is about a young girl who his friend just disappears, and no one seems to know where she has gone, and no one really pushes it. Her teacher calls a few times to like CPS and the police, saying like, why isn't where is Monday? Why is she not at school? But other than that, everyone kind of drops the ball on this poor girl. She had reports of abuse coming from home as well, and nothing was really followed through until things happened. And I don't want to spoil it because it's a great book. It is heartbreaking. I cried. Such a hard-hitting, it hit close to home. Being a teacher, I see kids that are screaming for help, and sometimes you just wish you could do more, and I could feel that pain of the teacher just calling and nothing happened. So I could relate to her. It's a great story. I suggest you read it. If you want a hard-hitting novel, you are gonna cry probably, I suggest this book, and this book was by Tiffany D. Jackson. All right, so my next prompt was My Tears Ricocheted, and this is a book that you've never gotten over a character death. For me, it is Bruno from The Boys in Striped Pajamas. This was also made into a movie, so many people are probably familiar with this, but it is about a family that moves to live on the outskirts of a concentration camp because their father is one of the lead soldiers or people of the Nazi army. And the little boy, sorry, my neighbor's, I'm like really distracted. I'm just all over the place. The little boy befriends a other little boy that's on the other side of the fence at the concentration camp. And he is only 9 years old, so he doesn't really understand what's going on. And unfortunately, this is a complete spoiler alert. So if you have not read this book and you want to know more about it, fast forward this. But in the end, Bruno dies by going into the concentration camp to help the other little boy look for his father. And they made their way into one of the gas chambers, and he dies in the gas chamber. I'm getting literally emotional thinking about this book because it was just the innocence of a child not being aware of what was going on in the world around him and just seeing the good in everybody. And the little boy, they were looking for his father who had been killed. And yeah, so Bruno was a death that I still have not gone over. My heart is like racing just even talking about it. So that's how, yeah, I don't want to say anything more about that. So the next one is Mirabelle. And this is a character that has gone under major character development in the story, that's really grown. So for me, I picked the Knockout Queen, and I picked the character Michael from this story. So Michael starts off as really struggling in the school that he's in, where he grows up. He does not have a lot of money in a neighborhood that is more affluent. They're one of the only houses that is still kind of run down. He's struggling with his identity. He doesn't really know how to express himself or kind of how to go about looking for men to date, and he goes through sources that are not the safest way to do that. He's kind of struggling of where to fit in and where he lives. However, he definitely grows throughout the book. He finds himself, he becomes more confident, and he makes something of where he became. So the Knockout Queen, I've raved about this book before. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it has some mixed reviews, but I personally really liked this book, and I think Michael is a great representation of a character that really definitely developed and grew over the course of the novel. So The Knockout Queen by Rufi Thorpe for the Mirabelle prompt. Okay, the next prompt is 7, your favorite childhood book. So for me, I don't have the physical book with me, but I would say anything from the Nancy Drew series. So I love mystery, I love thriller novels, and Nancy Drew, I feel like, is the epitome of that for children. And I feel like that really stirred my excitement for this type of genre. And I just remember going to the library, and they like the library program, and always getting myself a Nancy Drew book. I had my own copy of Nancy Drew books. So definitely Nancy Drew is something that I think helped create some excitement for me in reading, and definitely the love for that particular genre. All right, the next prompt is August, your favorite summertime read. So for me, I'm going to pick Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So this is by Talia Hibbert. I actually read it this summer on vacation, so I thought it was really fitting. This is just a fun read. It's a cute read. It's romantic read. The characters in here are amazing. I love Chloe Brown. I love Redford or Red Morgan, who is the guy. If you're not familiar with this story, Chloe Brown has a chronic illness, and so it's kind of put her life on hold for a little bit. She doesn't do much because of it. She's also a little afraid to do certain things and to kind of push herself. She experiences a near-death experience, and it's kind of, she creates a list of things she wants to push herself to do, and Redford or Red helps her complete that list. He and her end up falling in love. It's a great story. It is so funny. Chloe Brown is hilarious. Talia Hibbert's writing is great. I actually was laughing at this. It's a great summertime read, so definitely Get a Life, Chloe Brown. All right, the next prompt is, this is me trying. So a book that pulls you out of a slump. I want to take out the entire series, but honestly, it's the Shawnee McGuire The Wayward Children series. So this is a newer series that I have exposed myself to and started reading, and I fell in love with the writing that Shawnee McGuire does in these books. They are so captivating, they are interesting, every book is so unique in the different worlds that they explore, and so for me, I've been using these a lot during reading challenges, readathon challenges, because they're the book that if I'm starting to feel like in a lull that I don't want to keep reading, if I pick one of these up, I fly through them, I get lost in the world, and I feel like I'm transported there because her writing is done so well. It's an easy read, a quick read, and you just dive into that world, and it's definitely a book that is perfect for that purpose of getting you out of a reading slump. All right. My next prompt for this is Illicit Affairs, and so this is a guilty pleasure read. So this series, I feel like either you really love the series or you just don't like the series at all, and that is the Selection series. So I'm going to just talk about, when I consider the Selection series, I'm talking about the first three, the Selection, the Elite, and the One, because the other ones are not even remotely as good as these first three books. So I love these series. I actually just finished rereading all three of them recently. I just love diving into this world. It's like a mix between the Hunger Games and The Bachelor, and I feel, when I read this book, I feel like I get so emotional over it, which is kind of embarrassing because it's literally like a YA, like dystopian romance book, but the love triangle in here literally gets me every single time, and I'm actually going to use two of these characters for a later prompt because so it's kind of like embarrassing as a 28-year-old, like I get so emotional over this series, but it literally gets me every single time. So that was an easy choice for me. All right, so the next prompt for this one is An Invisible String, which is actually another one of my favorite songs off her new CD, and it is your girlfriend, boyfriend, crush type prompt, which I know a lot of people are always like, I don't got one, this was hard for me too, but there is a character that I definitely do really like in a book that I just recently read, and that is Talia Hibbert's other book, and it is Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and I just found a bookmark in there. That's always nice. So if you did not know, this is the middle sister from the Chloe Brown, and it goes Danny Brown, and then she'll also be publishing another book next year for the other sister. And she is a bisexual college or professor pursuing her PhD that practices witchcraft. Super, super cool. She is in her building one day, and there's a fire alarm. She didn't know about it, and she gets stuck in the elevator. And so the security guard, Zafir, comes and rescues her, and they end up fake dating, and it helps kind of his rugby group that he does to help raise money for them. So they end up falling in love, obviously, but Zafir is my crush. I love him. He reads romance novels. He's so romantic. He is just such a nice seeming guy. He helps and works with like underprivileged children. He was a professional rugby player. He's just, I don't know, I just really liked his character. He is just hopelessly in love with Danny, and I just really liked that. And he isn't afraid with being a strong, independent woman, which Danica or Danny definitely is. And I just fell in love with his character. So definitely Zafir from Take a Hint, Danny Brown. All right, the next prompt for this tag, hard woman. So I need to pick a book with my favorite strong female character. And so for me, I picked Liz from You Should See Me in a Crown. So Liz, if you're not familiar with this book, which I feel like everyone knows about, it's so hyped on BookTube. Liz is a black girl growing up in a with her grandparents, and she attends a white prominent school. And she's also not, they don't have tons of money. So she's definitely on the minority track in her white, wealthy suburban school. She lives with her grandparents because her mother has passed away, and she also lives there with her brother. So she's already has a couple things against her. Her mother's passed away from a chronic illness that her brother has as well, sickle cell, I believe they both have. And then she is seen as she doesn't have a lot of money, but she's extremely talented. And she was hoping to get a scholarship to go to the college that she wanted to go to, but unfortunately she didn't get it. Instead of just giving up and admitting defeat and just going to a different college that would love to have her as a talented musician, she goes and participates in prom, which is the super big thing in this school, to win the scholarship that would pay for that. There also is a love story as well, and with another contestant. Her name is, I believe it's Manda. It's been a little bit since I've read this book. I read it soon as it came out. So again, she gets hate about that she is in a relationship with another girl, but it doesn't stop her. She keeps pushing and she keeps going, and I think she's the epitome of a strong female character. If you have not read this book, I highly suggest you go pick it up. It was Leah Johnson's first novel. To me, it did not read like a first novel. It was a great read. All right, the next prompt is Epiphany. So a character that has overcome a lot. So for me, this was kind of hard to pick because I felt like I almost had too many characters to talk about. I picked Felix from Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. So Felix is a young black trans boy growing up in New York City area. He attends an art type school. One day he is at school, or he's going to the summer program, and someone outed his dead name and put pictures of him prior and all over, so everybody to see. So that was enough right there to push him, that anybody I feel would just fall apart at that point. However, Felix does not. Felix kind of pushes through it, overcomes it, and he doesn't give up. And I feel like a lot of people, if that was me, I would be I'm not going to this school anymore. I am done. And he does not do that. And so he overcomes that. He's trying to, find where he fits in with society because he doesn't really know, he doesn't know how to identify. He doesn't know who he really wants to be. And he pushes through that and he overcomes all of that, being accepted by other people, by his peers. And that's another big challenge that he has to overcome. And he does it, and he does it well, and he ends up falling in love. I loved Felix Ever After. The cover is absolutely gorgeous, but I think he's the epitome of a character that overcomes a lot in his life, and he does it very well. All right, the next prompt for this is Betty. So for the Betty song, I need to pick a character that I believe deserved better. So for this book, I picked one book, but I have two characters because they're kind of linked together. So I picked Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I think both of these girls in this story deserved better than what they were given. If you're not familiar with this story, it is about two girls, one living in New York City, the other one living in the Dominican Republic, and they did not know each other existed until their father crashed, or the father's airplane crashed, and he dies. So this is the story of them grieving and then coming to terms with that their father had another family. Both of these girls, I feel really bad because their father was not who they thought they were going to be. The girl who lives in the Dominican Republic, Camino, she only lives with her father for 3 months out of the year. That is awful. I feel so bad for her. And the other girl, she, again, her father has lied to her for, all her years that she's really been alive. It was because they're the same age. So I think both of these girls deserved much better than what they were given by their father, because they both are strong girls and go through a lot, and I really liked this story. So, all right, my next one is Peace, and it's your favorite fictional couple. And she said she would give you bonus points if it was a couple that has gone through a lot. So for me, I am going to pick Kale and Mare Barrow from the Red Queen series. So I know that they go through a lot throughout the story. They're up and they're down, but I do just love the intensity and the love that they have for each other. When Mare is taken away by Maxon and everything that Cale does to get her back, it just, it warmed my it warmed my heart. I love these two together. My favorite scenes and part of them were when the two of them were on the road looking for the New Bloods, and they were spending all that time together and preparing to defeat Maxon, and just the connection that the two of them had, I loved. So definitely, I love Mare, and I love Cale and their romance together. All right, the very last prompts, number 16, we're finally there, is Hoax. And this is a fictional breakup that destroyed you. So this is probably really silly because I really just started kind of getting into romance, or books that have like romance things in them, and I didn't kind of know where I wanted to go with this one. So I referenced the book already, but I haven't necessarily referenced these characters. So I picked Aspen and America from the Selection series. So I loved in the Selection the connection of Aspen and America. I absolutely loved when they are sneaking out and just the things that they say that they don't care. It's so corny and so cheesy that I love it that much. The fact that they just are so in love with each other and they know that they're not supposed to. It's kind of like that forbidden love of them sneaking around. He's the lower caste. And the words that they say to each other, and especially when Aspen then goes into working at the Capitol, and the things that he says, like, I'll always love you, I'm always here for you, I just broke my heart. And then at the end, when he does obviously go for someone else because America goes for the king or the prince, and I literally, like, I'm so happy for him, but like, again, like I said, it's so corny, it's so cheesy. My heart broke because there was something about the two of them that I loved together. So that's all I have. Like, this tag was so much fun. I put so much time and thought into these books. I literally stayed up last night trying to figure this all out. So there are a ton of people that wanted to be tagged in this video. So I have written them down just so I can remember. So Steph from Steph Read Run, Jaleesa from Library of Cherry, Darren from Darren Reads, Break Even Books, Meredith from Meredith Reads, Michelle from Michelle Reads YA, Amanda from Ginger Snapped Reads, and Paperback to Hardback. I also will tag you guys on Twitter so that you know that I posted this video. If anyone else wants to do it, please feel free to do this tag. Let's celebrate Taylor Swift and having her come in for the rescue to try and save and salvage something from 2020. So if you're new to my channel and you this journey, press that subscribe button. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you would never like to miss a video I post, press that alert button. Also, all my social media is linked below if you ever want to check it out. And yeah, so stay kind, loves, and I'll see you later. Feels so special.